In a wonderful and lovely day from wherever you are. So today's webinar is organized by the core project in partnership with KNH research team. And I'm also excited to welcome you all to our third session of our data analysis series. And today we'll be focusing on statistical analysis with BlueSky Statistics. And the series is designed to build practical skills in handling, interpreting, and applying data for informed decision making. And today's session will also be facilitated by Francis Njiri. Francis Njiri is a biostatistician and an epidemiologist trained in the United States of America and the United Kingdom with over 24 years of professional experience in biostatistics, M&E, that is monitoring and evaluation, and also epidemiology, as well as administration, coordination, and management of research studies and donor-funded programs. He is currently a grants manager at the University of Nairobi, overseeing the implementation of several donor-funded projects. Francis has also participated in many research studies in various capacities, from data management to statistical support, and is currently a co-investigator on several other research studies at the University of Nairobi. He has offered statistical and research support consultancy services to several organizations such as iTech Kenya, AMREF, CDC Kenya, CARE Somalia, among others. He is also the current director from Harvey Research Support Services Limited. So before I welcome Francis, we also have a segment, if you look at the bottom of your screen, where there's a Q&A section. So for any questions that you have, you can go ahead and type them at the Q&A section. Then I'll be reading them to our facilitator towards the end of the session. Thank you very much. Allow me to welcome Francis.
Thank you very much, Teddy. As you have said, my name is Francis Njiri. I am going to show my face just for a few minutes, and I work at the University of Nairobi. I have been there for several years, and I'm glad to see all these people from all over Africa and beyond. And I wish you all the best as we go through this session. Allow me to switch off my video so that we can save on bandwidth. So I'm going to share my screen in a while here so that we can begin. This is a follow-up to a previous session which we had a couple of weeks ago. And during our last session, we looked at an introduction to data analysis. And this is really a continuation of the same. And I want to really request you to be on standby. For those who have laptops, it would be good to, this is the good time to have them up, connected, and ready for getting your hands dirty. We are going to look at these practical sessions using a software called BlueSky Statistics. But before we do that, we want to look at, to remind ourselves on statistical language, which may not be familiar to everybody. We did look at this last time in more detail, and I'm just going to skim over it just for the purposes of bringing us up to speed. And then after that, we are going to look at BlueSky Statistics, and I'm going to tell you why we've chosen that one. We're going to do a bit of exploratory data analysis, variant analysis, hypothesis testing, and so on and so forth. And then we'll end up with question and answers from the floor. So for those of us who are on the previous session, you remember this slide. We have variables. There's no way you'll talk about data without talking about variables, because data is actually stored in variables. Data can be in two categories, can be scale or categorical. And when it's scale, it takes the form of continuous data or discrete data. When it is categorical, it takes the shape of ordinal or nominal, where ordinal actually assumes some order which is visible, whereas nominal does not follow a meaningful order. And on the other side of the scale variables, We have continuous, which take in the measurements, and therefore that's what we ordinarily call as decimals, and discrete is where we have counts or integers. The other thing that which we need to remind ourselves, because all data can be categorized into those two categories, the scale and the categorical variables. And the immediate thing, the immediate statistics that we will always find ourselves computing are measures of average and spread. And the things that you need to look at when you're looking at the scale variables, you look at whether the data is normally distributed. And in that case, therefore, you use the mean standard deviation. When the data is skewed, use median and interquartile range. And when it is categorical, and we saw there is ordinal and nominal. When it is ordinal, you use median and interquartile range. And when it is nominal, you use mode alone. In terms of graphs, because after that is what you want to visualize. If you have a scale variable and it's only one variable, you do a histogram. If it is a scale variable against another scale variable, you draw a scatter. And if it is scale variable against a categorical variable, you do what are called box plots or confidence interval plots. And if it is a categorical variable and it is only one variable, then you do either a pie chart or a bar chart. And if it is a categorical against a scale variable, it's the same as what we have just seen. We do box plot or confidence interval plot. When we have a scenario where the two variables are both categorical, you end up with stacked or multiple bar charts. So now, why did we choose BlueSky Statistics? And for some of you, this may be probably the first time you're hearing this. BlueSky Statistics as a software has its own major advantages. Number one, it is available freely and open source, unlike other softwares like SPSS, SAS, Stata, and so on. And it has a user-friendly user interface where most people who have, for example, been using SPSS can easily interact with it. The other advantage is that it's R-powered. And this is where the beauty comes in. Imagine if you are combining the power of R with what we visualize in SPSS. I think you end up with a very nice combination. And considering that it is free, then that becomes a very nice software to use. Of course, there is the paid up versions, but for all purposes and needs, well, particularly when it's academic, you do not really need the paid up versions. There is no coding required, but it also allows you to do coding. So if you are very familiar with R, you can easily just do your coding and write your scripts on the software. It is also cross-platform. It's available on Windows, Macintosh, and Linux. In terms of who should use it, it's everybody really, for those who are interested in research, student business analysts, and even healthcare professionals. Now, this is how it looks like. And at this point in time, I would want to probably pause for a minute so that we see whether people are able to download. And I want to really request by a show of hands. Let me look for my screen here, see whether I can see the people by a show of hands who has managed to who has this software already, if any. Let me see if I can see all the participants. All right. If you have, if you have, uh, if you have seen the software before, please give me a thumbs up. I'm not seeing any thumbs up. I'm assuming, oh, there's one. I'm trying to see what is the best mechanism to use to, I see another one. So we have a number of people. So maybe you can keep your hand up if you already have seen that software so that I'm able to trace and see who uh, who, uh, who has it already. So if you do not have it, please go to the web and yes, now I'm able to see the entire screen. So I can see Joel Wanzala, uh, and basically that's the only person I've seen. So if you've not been able to, um, if you've not, I see Ben Muchoki. Thank you for sharing that. So um, I guess you can go there and quickly download. So as we continue with this process, so everybody please check on the chat. There is the link that has been shared by Ben so that you can download. And once you're able to download, you can give us a high five or a hands up, and then we can see that you already have it. Of course, it's going to take you, when you go to that link, it may ask you for your email address, and please feel free to provide that so that you're able to access the free version of it. Maybe I can stop sharing the screen so that I can go to BlueSky Statistics, the website, so that we are all there together. Let me just go there. Then that we do not leave anyone behind. Okay. So let me share my tab so that yes, I can hear. Yes, here we are. So when you get to that screen, it's going to ask you for. It's going to ask you for. I'm trying to minimize my screen. It's becoming too many screens here. It's going to ask you for to choose a plan or start free today. So I would choose start free today. And then of course, you choose this base free forever option and subscribe that. Then you're going to put your, as you can see, it's about $500 a year for the paid up version. Then it's going to ask you to sign up. And of course, once you sign up, then you'll be able to access that download. I know some of you are already are joining us through your phones, perhaps, and that is also acceptable. Unfortunately, you may not be able to do this exercise with us. Yes, I can see somebody is asking. I hope we will get the recording later after the program of for practice. Yes, you're going to get the recording. We've already had uh, an announcement at the beginning of this meeting that this is available in the portal. So I hope everybody is able to see the link. I can see Charles Waihenya was saying there is no link. It's been shared again. And we'll continue waiting for the participants to say that you've been able to complete that process. Once you complete that process, feel free to raise up your hand so that we can know that you have succeeded. It is very important for you to do this exercise. I know it's take it into our time, but it's important to do this so that we begin together. So in the meantime, I'll go back to the slides because I guess all of us have been able to access that website. Hmm. So once you get to that point where you have the software with you, and I'm really hoping that a few people at least have been able to access the website and do this. It's really going to look like this, as you can see on your screens. The user interface is going to look like this. There is the main menu, which is right above there, the first row on your screen, the top level menu that groups related features in a ribbon bar that is below. So once you look at the ribbon bar that is below, that displays dialog boxes that are associated with the top level menu. And then number 3 is this area here where you are seeing your data set itself. And then you have a section here where, as I said before, this is software that is R-based, and there is a place where you can actually write R commands and execute them. So this is a place where those commands, scripts will be found. And then on this right-hand side, we have the output tab, which displays the results of the analysis. And at the bottom there, you have a split indicator, which you rarely use, indicates whether the data is set is split by a variable. So you rarely use that one because many times you may not be splitting the data by a variable. And so the main screen is this one, where you are able to see your data set. And then you have the R editor at the bottom there. And then you have your output. So on one screen, you're able to see that. And on the top there, you have all the menus that you really need to use for this. The other thing which I'll probably want to share with you, what can you do from the user interface? As we have seen on the first interface, you can open, browse, create, edit multiple data sets. Underline that multiple data set. Imagine if you have a platform where you are able to look at more than one data set. Many softwares, that is usually not very common. You can add and remove variables. You can edit factor levels. You can recode. And all these through the GIU, the graphical user interface. You can also access popular statistics. You can do things like machine learning. And I'm sure for those people who are now interested in AI and those kind of things, this is very good news. You can do data mining, you can do data manipulation, and you can also do exploratory data analysis. You can also access the output of the analysis through this interface, and you can copy those outputs onto your platforms like MS Office applications or other places like HTML or PDF. And you can also run R programs and interact with the output of the analysis. So you can copy, you can have programs in R which you have written, paste them there, actually run them. We may not have time today to go through the entire depth of what it is, but at least you know that you're able to do this. Now, zooming in into the data grid or the data tab that we saw before, this is what you're gonna see. So number one, you're going to be able to see a button which you can use to create a new data set. So as I said, this is a software where you're able to see more than one data set in one place. Number two, we have the refresh active data set screen. And you do this when you're running R code and you have made changes using R code. Then the number three is you can display you can see the names of the open data set. Then at number four, you have the columns here. The columns, these are the variables, and they have an icon which gives you an idea of what the variable name is like, whether it is nominal, whether it is ordinal, whether it is a string variable, and so on and so forth. And then we have the variable options, number 7 here. When you right click on it, you'll have all those options that you can see here. You can insert data row above, you can insert, you can make it a factor, and all those things that you can see displayed on the screen. So as you can see, this is very powerful. Up to this point, you're not even writing any code. Then the other thing which I need to mention is that the data grid has two. What we were looking at is the data tab, but it also has the variable tab, similar to what SPSS had or has. And what it shows is number one, the variable name as the first column, the variable class, second column, the variable type, the third column, and the class, the variable SPSS class, according to the way, SPSS thinks about it. You can see we have double, we have scale, we have integer, factor, and so on and so forth. And then we have the variable options right there. So this is all right here. And this is beautiful because this, for those people who are used to SPSS, then this becomes very easy to interact with. And you are doing all this for free. Then we have the output. When you produce your output, you can share it, you can reuse, you can reproduce the results of your analysis because you are able to copy and paste tables, graphs to your popular softwares. And you can reorder output tables depending on how you want them to flow. So, and you can also zoom in by double-clicking on a graph to maximize its display. And you can also save what you have, the output that you have, in terms of as a BlueSky output format, HTML, or R Markdown for those who know R Markdown, or LaTeX. And that makes it very beautiful. You can see here how the output screen looks like. You have the dialog, relaunch right there, where you launch the dialog with the original settings that created the output. You can inspect the R code right here. You can see the R code right there. And once we open the software itself, you're going to see this even more clearly. Then you can move output chunks, depending on how you want to arrange them. You can delete a chunk, you can save the output, and you can also clear the output. Then we have this R Integrated Development Environment, or IDE, right here, which I talked about, the R editor. And through there, for those people who are very familiar with R, they can execute the R code, um, just the usual way you run R code in R. Um, and you can also hide it, the hide this tab if you don't want to see it. And you can copy and paste R code from elsewhere and uh, you reuse it right there. So this is really beautiful. The other popular features that are there is, and this is a more advanced analysis, we have model fitting, we have model tuning, we have model scoring, and this is already inbuilt into the software, so you don't need to really do struggle for you to be able to do that. So for those of you who love modeling, this would be a very good option. The other thing that is a popular feature is survival analysis. It's very robust in the way it does it. Survival analysis. Um, you can do your competing risks, Kaplan-Meier estimation, Cox proportional hazards models, and so on and so forth. And then I mentioned about machine learning. Um, it will utilize things like the traditional machine learning algorithms, like decision trees, random forests, support vector, and so on and so forth. It can also do this what is called deep learning, which a lot of AI is using. So it's very up to date and will be very useful. Now, now we get to the point where we are actually going to run some analysis for ourselves. And um, allow me to shift now to the software itself. I'm hoping, at least as I was talking, several people have managed to do that. I can see Eugene Lusanji has been able to do it. And I'm hoping a few um, uh, a few others. I can see some questions that are already being posted, but we'll address those at the very end. So allow me to share my screen for the software itself. Let me go to that screen. BlueSky Statistics. Right. So here we are. Uh, if you can be able to see my screen, um, give me a thumbs up. Nice. I can see people are able to see the screen. That's wonderful. Wonderful. So this is the actual software. What I was showing you before were just slides, but this is now the actual software. And this is what we were calling the data tab, the data sets where the data sets sit. This is the output area. And this here is the R editor. Now, what we are going to do, luckily, BlueSky Statistics comes with its own sample data set. And for those of you who are in the previous class, we did look at the Titanic dataset. And I thought it might be nice to use the same dataset today. So I'm going to go here and look for that dataset, Titanic. Hold on just a second. That's not the one wanted. Give me a second here. I need to clean up this. My apologies. hoping there is a, I'm hoping people are able to actually get a data set, get their what, get their softwares installed so that we go through this together. Here you have. Let me share my screen again. There you are. So let's go ahead and open a data set. And here, I'm going to help you to navigate where the sample data sets are. So on your PC, you'll go to C, program files, and then you're going to look for BlueSky Statistics 10. Then you're going to look for resources. Is it resources? You're going to look for samples, samples and documents. Then you're going to come to datasets and demos. And you look for sample CSV datasets. Of course, there are several other versions because you're able to import many versions of data onto this. But for now, for the purposes of today, let's use sample CSV datasets. And you can see Titanic is one of them right there. So we're going to open that. And when you're importing a data set that is of CSV format, you're always going to get this dialog box, which asks you whether the first row contains the variable names, and whether the data is actually separated by commas or semicolons or tabs or white spaces or whatever, and how you're going to manage the decimal values. So there we are. So as you can see, it actually generates this script here. So you can see what you are actually doing. And this is the data set. The first column there is the number, like the passenger number. Then we have whether they survived or not. Then we have the class they were in. Then we have their sex or gender. Then we have their age. And we have, I need to remember what this was. I don't know whether it is explained on this side. Can't really tell. But as you can see, we have these two. We have the data view. We have the variable view, just as you have in SPSS. I'm going to pause here and see whether people are already there. So if I want to see how many people are there, if you are there, give me a high five, hand up if you're already where I am. Don't proceed too far alone. Okay? Alex Gory, thank you. Someone else seen a thumbs up. Maybe you can raise up your hand. It's easier to see that. Jerry Hamasi, thank you. Charles Waihenya, wonderful. This is great. This is great. I want to see as many people as possible. Joel Wanzala, that's wonderful. I want to see at least a few more people. Okay, seeing thumbs up. Okay. So let's say you want to do some simple things with the this data set, like we saw during our last class. Up here, what you have is file, which really opens this. If you go to data sets, you can see there is something that comes up down here. You can do aggregates, you can say compare data sets. Actually, if you wanted, we can go back and open another data set. Let's actually do that. Something like what? I don't know what even it is. Let's open it. Okay, looks like that. Whatever that is. So here you can see you're able to see more than one data set at a time. Something that is very, very not possible. It's not very common with many softwares. So on a file, you can see, can open, you can load a data set from the software itself. You can save a data set. You can change the name of a data set. You can close it. You can export output. And of course, you can do these marketplace things, and you can do these loading models. But we are not going to go into those details today. The second tab here is data sets. You can aggregate them. You can compare data sets. You can expand them. You can find duplicates. The usual things that you're able to do with the data set. You can group them. You can merge, reshape. So as you can see, it's very, very powerful. Then with variables, you can do box plots, transformations, box transformations. You can compute new variables. You can concatenate. You can convert variables into something else. You can delete variables. You can factor. You can create new factors, and so on and so forth. You can even record for those who love to record. Then it comes to analysis, and this is the place where most of you will like it, is you can do, of course, here you are seeing some of these things. For us to be able to access, we have to purchase. That's why it has that trolley with it. You can also cluster, you can do correlations, you can do cross tabs, you can do distribution analysis. You can see all those feats that are there with statistics. You can do factor analysis. You can do this. And this is what we are going to look at today, because we don't want to go into too many details. You can say how you want to manage missing values and all this. So today I'm thinking if we use this summary statistics. Yeah. Sorry about that. Maybe that can give us a sense of what it does. Then we have this other tab for distribution. All kinds of distributions that you can think about. Graphics. Again, maybe we'll try and do a bit of graphics, and so on and so forth and so forth. See, we can even do sample size calculations, and therefore it's a very powerful thing. Just as many things as you're able to do with R, you're able to do with this using a point and click. Some people find it complex because it has very many things, but as you can see, you can stick to the things that you really want to use. So let us um, let us use a few of these statistics. So let's start with something simple like summary. We do like descriptives. And when you do descriptives, you can see it's asking you what do you want to describe. And in this case, the variable we are interested in is age. And we want to do minimum, maximum, median, standard deviation. You can also add skewness and the quantile. For the purposes of this, let's see what we get on our output. Okay. So you see here, it's able to tell you that this is it's a one variable that you have looked at. The observations you looked at are 1,046. Then minimum is that, first quartile is that, and so on and so forth and so forth. And if you look here, you can go back to the tab that you read. If you look here, it takes you to the R code. Look at this. It takes you to the script that you are able to see. So this is the beauty of this. And of course, you can minimize by clicking this, and you can also hide this and hide. Let's look at a little bit more different variable, which really is about frequencies. We probably want to know how many people are in which class. If we run that, see the number of people who are in the third class, 501. The people who are in first class, 284. People who are in second class, 261. And the percentages there. Okay. And as I said before, you can export this output, you can copy certain tables, and so on and so forth. So the other thing which we could do is let's look at the gender, just for simplicity. Just for simplicity, and really just continuing to familiarize with this. You can see we had 658 males, which represents 63%. Female, 388, that is 7.1%. Now, let's do something that is a little bit more complicated. We want to do like a cross tab, and the row variable is, let's say, sex. We want to see the class so that we know whether there is one gender that was favored, then ended up in a better class than the other. And of course, you can see, you can do the chi-squared tests and do continuity correction if you need. McNema is for non-parametric. You can do all these things together and see. There's no harm. Let's do that and see. So you can see what we have here. And it's a little bit hard to interpret this without the percentages. So let's look for a way of getting the percentages. Let's use things. Let's see whether tables will give us what we are looking for. Tables. Let's just use cross tabs and see whether we can add the percentages. I've not used this for a while, and I'm seeing a few changes on it. I'm having a hard time tracing some of the things. You see options. Yes, down here. They've enhanced it a bit. So we need the row columns, the row percentages, I mean. And there we are. So you can see from the results that we have, if we were to look at first class, females were more common in the first class than males, and it appears that that was statistically significant. whatever that means. Let's look at something that is more realistic, like the messenger class against survivor. Okay, now this is one perfect example. You see already refusing to take the variable for survivor onto the column variable, because what it is expecting there is a factor variable. So you have to go back and make the survivor variable a factor. And you can come here and make factor. Okay. And you see it has a 0 and a 1. So that's how to modify. So now let's go and run these cross tabs again. You can see even the labels have changed. So you want to see whether class had an influence on survival. Go to options. Now we're interested in the chi-square, yes. Let's just use chi-square. Let's go to rows and let's run that. See. Right? So here we are. And remember, for those who are there on the previous class, we actually looked at this in theory, and now today we are doing it practically. So 64% of the people who are in the first class survived. 44% of those in the second class survived, and 26% of those who are in the third class survived. And the p-value is there, a very high chi-square value. I'm trying to see whether we can export this output to something else, or copy this to my quad, copy as text. Let me see if I paste it on our document, what it's going to give us. So it's giving us, I'm trying to see if we can see the p-value in more details. Because here it's not showing the p-value that I'm looking for. But anyway, this is the way to do this. Suppose we wanted to find out whether it's the younger people or the older people who were dying. That is comparison of means, and it is a t-test, independent samples. So we have the factor variable here is survival, and the select variable here is age. And here the hypothesis, remember we looked at hypothesis. You either can say that the two are not equal, or group 1 was more likely to survive than group 2, or group 1 was more likely to survive than group 2. So for now, we are going to say that the survival rates were different and see what we get from there. So here we are running the independent samples t-test. So here we are. Here we are. You can see the mean age for those who did not survive is 30.5. The mean age for those who survived is 28.9 or thereabouts. And the F statistic for that is 2.7. The p-value here is 0.0727, suggesting that although there appears the people who survived were slightly younger, the difference was not really statistically significant. Um, can someone suggest something else that they would be interested in looking at? Then we can try it out. You can put it in the chat. Something else that you'd be interested to do, and maybe we can have someone also attempt and give us an answer. These data sets, what else would you like to look at? Waiting for somebody to post something on the chat. Okay. I don't seem to see anybody suggesting anything. Um, Let me look at the data set and see what else we could do with it. We have these two variables. I don't remember what they were. Um, Yes, we can go to the graphics and do something like a box plot so that we see that what we've just looked at, um, the numeric variable here is age, and then the X variable, let's say survival, so that we see the box plot that is associated with that. Let's run that and see. You can actually see from the box plot that the differences are very, very small. So you said you can double click on this and zoom it in. The software has been updated. I'm also having an updated version of the same, and some of the things seems to have changed a bit. But I hope you can see the box plots that we have. Um, let's do the same box plot for what? For that was a box plot for survival for class, so that we see whether the older people were in a different class. There you are. You can see this is very interesting. That it's the older people who are in the first class. Actually, this would be interesting to see whether this is statistically significant. And this is a perfect example of where you'd be looking at ANOVA, because t-tests look for where the categorical variable is two categories, but when it is more than two categories, then you go to analysis of variance. And we can go back here and come to means and do ANOVA. We are looking for age as the numeric variable. Then we have class. Yeah, let's do that. Hmm. I've done all this. It's not what I wanted. Let's run this again. That is not the one. really added a few things here. Just give me a second. Meanwhile, if you have been able to install the software, please raise up your hand. I really want to make sure that we are not alone. Um, Let me share the screen again. As you can see in the results, I've even produced a few graphs from the ANOVA analysis. And you have there the diagnostic plots of age against analysis of variance of age against the passenger class. And again, you have the theoretical, these are the fitted values, these are the theoretical values, and so on and so forth. And the idea here was to show you the power of this analysis. Maybe we can look at a different data set and then we proceed from there. Meanwhile, I want to see how many people have been able to download the software so that we are not here alone. Please, by show of hands. Joan Kigen, Jerry Hamasi, Agri Omboki. Hilary, thank you. Looks like most of the people have not been able to download the software. Thank you. Thank you. I'm hoping after this session, you'll be able to download the software and run this, what we are doing. Let's go back to our slides and proceed from where we were. So as I was saying, you can import a sample data set, like the Titanic data set, and you can do simple tasks like switching between data view and variable view. You can rename variables, you can change variable types. We already did something like that, although we never got to do the sorting of data. But you can actually do all those things. You can do exploratory data analysis. And this is what we call univariate analysis, where you are doing descriptive visualization. And that is the section that we've just done, trying to visualize the data from the Titanic data set. You can calculate and interpret of central tendency, mean, median, mode, and you can also generate things like variance, standard deviation, and range. And you can also generate frequency distributions. And we've been able to show a bit of that. Moving on to trying to remember what this is. The range variance and standard deviation really measure the spread. And here I've provided the way to access those that on the software. So you go to analyze, descriptive statistics, frequencies, or descriptives, and we've been able to do that. And then you have to interpret the findings. And we've attempted to do that. Then you have to generate, for you to generate tables and charts, you go to analyze descriptive statistics frequency. You can also select charts from that site, or you can do the way we have just done by creating histograms or by bar charts where the data is categorical. When it is bivariate analysis, and again, we've tried to do that playing around with the data set that is there, provided the Titanic data set. We have to recall what hypothesis testing is, and you recall at some point when we were looking at that particular data set, we were trying to see whether the two groups are equal, or one group is larger than the other, the second group is larger than the other, and so on and so forth. And you can also do correlation analysis. Unfortunately, that data set, we didn't have to do correlation analysis. And for you to do the t-test, one sample or independent samples t-test, you again go to analyze, compare means, one sample t-test, or independent samples t-test, and you can interpret Levene's tests and all these other values that are important when you're doing that kind of analysis. For you to run bivariate analysis, because you are comparing and relating variables, when you're doing correlation analysis, what you're trying to do is to measure the strength and direction of a linear relationship. And here, what you're interested in is the Pearson's correlation. And for you to get there, you run analyze, correlate, bivariate. You out there, down there, you'll be able to see the R value, and the significant values. When it is multivariate analysis, again here, we must recall what this is. This is where you're looking at relationships between 3 or more variables at the same time. And this is supposed to help you understand complex scenarios. And for example, when you want to do a simple linear regression, you're trying to predict one variable based on another. And for you to do that, you have to go again to that place, analyze on those tabs. You go regression, linear, and then identify what your dependent and dependent variables are. And then you interpret the R squared and the other values. I want to stop here. I was hoping that more people would have downloaded the software so that we run through an exercise together, and I give you a few minutes to be able to do this. Maybe we can go back to the team and to the moderator, and maybe moderator, you can guide us how to proceed, considering that I don't think many people have been able to do this. I am happy to share these slides so that people can go and practice on their own. Perhaps during this session, it was a bit hard for people to do this. Back to you, moderator.
Thank you very much, Francis. So, one of our attendees has asked, are you able to import data from other software, for instance, MS Excel? And can you show us how as well?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm going to do that right away. It is possible to import data to this platform from other places, and I'm going to let me look for a simple data set, for example, of SPSS. Maybe let me start as I do that so that I make sure that I'm importing a data set that I want to import. But it is possible to import in virtually any kind of source. Let me see the data sets that I have here. Mm. Uh, Trying to trace a data set that actually let me just share my screen and show from the software itself. I've just recalled that the software itself has those sample data sets in SPSS. Let me just share my screen again. So I'll just go to open and data sets and demos. You see Excel, it has R data set, it has ATAS, it has SPSS data set. So here is a sample SPSS data set. And as you can see, it's going again to ask you for those things. Let me see variables. Oh, there's something that did not happen quite right. Let's try that again. Right. Let's try Excel. Okay. Now, like this is a data set in Excel, and those are the variables. You can see it's been able to import. Um, let me look for, let me just spend a minute and look for a data set that is in SPSS. No, then we can actually, because I think the one that they have is not really doing what I want it to do, so that you can see in real sense what it can do. But it's able to import data sets from various uh, places. Just give me a second here. Um, I'm looking for a data set which I can share with all of us. Mm. Your data is sensitive, so I'm trying to get a data set which is not going to get me into trouble, so that I can demonstrate with it.
Their official YouTube page. Okay, sorry. So for those of us who are asking on how they are able to get the recording for maybe further practice, you'll visit the YouTube, that is KNH Research YouTube page, whereby you'll be able to get the recordings of this data analysis episodes as well as the previous two. So on YouTube, just search KNH Research, then you'll get the data analysis episode, this and the previous two. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ted. I found a data set which we can borrow from without getting into trouble. So I'm going to go to the desktop of my computer, or my PC here, and this taxi survey data set, which is, as you can see, it's as .sav. So it's an SPSS data set. And you can see it picked it any issues. All right. Picked it without any issues, without even asking any question. And this, when you look at the variables, this is a data set which is owned by myself. So I have freedom to do it. It is a data set that was asking people who are taxi drivers a few questions here and there. And as you can see, we've been able to import it. It's a .sav data set, and you can actually do your frequencies directly from here. And for other statistics that you're interested in, that this variable here, does your Premier Taxi app currently offer carpooling? If you do that, you can see yes, no is 57%, yes is 36%. I'm not sure, not applicable. And so this is just to demonstrate to you that you can directly import data from another place. And this is an example of SPSS. We've already used Excel, we've used CSV, we've used SPSS, and you can virtually import from any other data source.
Okay,
Let's
thank you very
continue.
much for that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Somebody had asked if you're able to generate some graphs, and Charles had suggested we use survival and sex to maybe come up with the graphs. Are we able to do that?
Hey,
That
so
is using the
suggesting
data on
the
the
Titanic.
Titanic. Yeah.
Now, thank you very much for that question. Unfortunately, we cannot be able to use the Titanic data set to generate a survival analysis because you need three things when you are doing survival analysis. You need, number one, whether the person survived or not. And number two, you need the time point, a time variable, and you now need another variable that you're interested in. So time variables, a time variable and status is a mandatory when you're doing survival analysis. We do not have the time variable for the Titanic data set. Let me see whether there is any data set that we can find uh, in the in the in the ones that they have provided that can do survival. This is of that person who asked that question. Um, Here we are, samples, data sets. Let's see, survival, whether they have something for survival. Yeah. Let's see, melanoma. Yes. So, so here you are. We have, let's inspect this data set. So it has time, it has status, and it has these other variables. So let's try and do survival analysis here. Is it? Where is it? Where is this? Where is this? Is this survival analysis? We said before they've changed a few things. Oh, here you are. It's a little bit hard to. So let's look at this Kaplan method. So we have the time to event. We have this time here, and we have, let's say, The event is this status here. And, plot type is that. Let's run that. So here you are. You can see you're able to produce your curve, and you're able to produce your Kaplan-Meier things, the survival times, and so on and so forth. And all this within a very short time. And you have your R code for that matter. So if we were to do something that is more complicated, let's see if event you group by something. So time is that, the event is that, the status, and you group by gender, for example, and you run that. You can see the two curves generated right there. So I hope the person now is, we've actually managed to to do two things, to kill two birds with one stone using that question, because we've also demonstrated that you can import an R data set into BlueSky Statistics software directly and use it. Back to you, Ted.
Yes, thank you once again. So before we get to winding up, just a quick one. Charles had asked what R code stands for and also what survival analysis is. Just a quick one.
So what R code stands for, number one, for every command that you run on your computer, there is some code that runs in the background. For every software that you use, whether it is SPSS or R or Stata, there is code that runs in the background, whether you see it or not. For R, it does not have the user interface like the one you are seeing here. What it has are commands like the ones you are seeing here. Text, simply text, and it normally will show up here. Now, that code that runs in the background, those commands that run into the background, that is what we are calling R code. So for people who are familiar with R as a software for analysis, and R is based on code only. It does not have point and click. It does not have menus like the ones we are having now. It is command-based. So that R code are those sets of commands that that are run for the analysis results to be produced, or for whatever action you want it to do, whether it is recording a variable, whether it's generating a new variable, whether it is summarizing a variable, whether it's calculating means. There's commands. It's commands based. And when I'm saying R code, that is what I mean. So all these things we are doing from point and click, you can actually do them using R code here in the R editor. The other question is, what is survival analysis? That is more a statistical question, and I'll try to attempt to answer it in the most simple way. Let us say that you have a cohort of people who have a certain disease, and you want to monitor how they are performing over time. And of course, over time, people who are unwell will die either from that disease or from any other cause. So when you're doing survival analysis, you are interested in finding out how soon those people, how soon they reach the event of interest. And that event of interest may be positive or a negative event. So when people talk about survival analysis, the issue of death comes into mind, but it's not necessarily all the time death. It might be actually time to recovery. So, for instance, when we have cancer patients, you administer treatment and you continue following them up to try and find out how soon they recover from the illness, like they go into uh, being cancer free. And the event here is being cancer free. So let's say you follow the same people, a group of people, the same way over a period of 5 years. Some of them will have recovered. And if your interest is recovery being cancer free, then you mark that as an event. Then the time variable also comes in. So survival analysis involves two key factors, the time to event and the event itself. And that is very common in particularly in the medical sector. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Francis. I can see Charles is following up on the question on what the R code is. Are you able to just quickly run us through how we come up with the code or how we code the data, and also just a quick example? Then finally, as we close the webinar, you can maybe walk us through the process on how we are able to get the software that is from the website, so that after the webinar, we can be able to practice more using the recording from YouTube as well as the software. Thank you.
Now, this is very interesting. It's been a while since I've used R, and therefore, give me a second here as I put together something for you
Okay.
for the purposes of that. Just a second. Just for the purposes of my friend there. So let me share my screen again so that I guess I have something which I can share. I was trying to do that. So let's say my page is, then you say print my page. Let's see what that is going to give us. Well, I don't know why this is not doing what it's supposed to do. Yes, it did it. So here you are creating a variable that is called my age, and you are assigning it the value 23. And then the next command you are giving it is print my age. And you can see it has actually printed my age here, which you had already assigned. If we were to use a little bit more complex things which I've borrowed from somewhere, I've actually picked this from Google. If I were to walk you through, anytime you see this hash side, it means that's a comment. So here we have my string, which is saying hello, R. My number is 10. My vector, this is a string, like a series of numbers. My characters are those. If I was to print these things, let's say we run this command here, you can see the instructions we've told it is to print my string, and my string was hello R. Here you are. Print my number. Here it is. Let's say if we told it print, now I'm typing this as you can see, my vector, and run this, just this alone. Here you are. You can see the output here. So R runs like this. And even when you're talking about a data set, this is how. So R works like this. It does not have a point and click. It works like this. And you'll be able to produce even graphs using this kind of commands. And when we are saying R code, this is what we are talking about. And this language that we are using here is R language inside of BlueSky Statistics. I don't know whether that is sufficient. I feel like we may need a lot of a lot of time to go through this. So it's more complex than it looks. Back to you, Ted.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we'll set some time to go through the coding and everything, maybe in another webinar. So finally, are you able to walk us through on getting the software from their website, Francis?
Let me do, yes, let me do that. Let me stop sharing what I'm sharing so that I do exactly that. I realize some people were having challenges. Um, I'll just share my screen again so that I show that particular area. Oh, let's say I want to sign up. That's where we stopped. I'm already there. So let me walk back to the beginning where we are looking at BlueSky Statistics, the website itself. So here, this is where you land. And then you say start free today. And you have these three plans. You have a pro version and an enterprise version, but you want this base, which is free forever. And for you to get it, you must subscribe. Once you subscribe, it takes you to either sign up or log in. So let me see, sign up. Let me try to use a different email address so that we see what happens. So I'm going to use a different email. You can see already I have an account, but I'm going to use a different email, which is Vector Javi RSS. That is also my email. As I said before, I run a small company. Um, oh, no, I'm trying to sign up. I have a small company, research company called Javi Research Support Services, and we do a lot of this kind of work. Vector Javi RSS at gmail.com. Vector Javi RSS at gmail.com. Oh, that's not much. I did not type it the same way. Oh, yes. Made a mistake here. So after doing that, it's going to send me an email. And as you can see, it's saying processing. And it's going to send you a verification code. So I'm going to go look at the email and let me see whether I received verification code. Yes, I have it. Now I'm going to copy it and paste it here. Continue to finish. For password here. So this is the process which you're supposed to undergo. And every place where there is a star, you're supposed to fill it up. There's Kenya here. In Kenya, I'm going to use this Javi Research Support Services. And then your job is director. I'm going, phone number is not a requirement. Purpose of it for research. Deal here from a colleague. I agree. So you have to go through this process for you to get software. Processing, let's see what it says. Yeah, now I see why many people could not be able to complete this so quickly. Still processing, it's taking a while. There you are. So then it is we are already logged on. You have to be logged on. You say get plan. So you see it brings you to this screen. Now you are able to download. And once you get to download, the work is done. The next rest just to install. Connecting to BlueSky Statistics Download Center. Um, the latest version is March 2024. And here, choose which one it is that you are, what operating system you are on. So here you choose Windows. And here you are. You'll be able to save it. Let's just save it on the desktop. And the download has begun. And once you download, you simply install. I hope that has been useful.
Yes, thank you very much. It was easy and it was actually very easy to follow through the process. So I hope the rest of our participants will be able to get the software. So as we close today's webinar, as we bring our third session to a close, I'd like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all our attendees who joined us from different parts of the world. Your participation and engagement are what makes these sessions truly impactful. And also a special thank you to our facilitator, Francis Njiri, for sharing your expertise and guiding us through today's training on statistical analysis with BlueSky Statistics. Also, I'd like to appreciate our partners, that is KNH Research Team, whose support and collaboration have made it possible for us to host such enriching webinars. And also, for those who are joining this as their first webinar, you can go to KNH Research, that is their official YouTube page, and catch up on the previous two sessions that we had. And thank you once again, and we look forward to connecting with you in our next series. Also, keep an eye out on our communication platforms, that is through as well the KNH communication platform for upcoming webinars and future sessions. Thank you very much. Now I'll be closing the session. Have yourselves a wonderful evening or a lovely evening as well. Thank you very much.